Welcome, my dear Alchemic Joker family. A powerful message awaits us today. Dive in and God bless.
Listen, not a sound. That silence pressing against your ears. That's not emptiness. That's something watching you listen. You really thought you were alone. No. That's the lie they needed you to swallow. The quiet little story they fed you so you'd walk slower, doubt deeper, shrink smaller. Because a person who thinks they're alone is easier to corner. But you've never been cornered. You've been contained. Look at your life. No, really, look at it. Not the surface, not the excuses, not the I got lucky nonsense you keep repeating to make it all make sense. I'm talking about those moments, the ones that should have ended you, the night everything collapsed, and somehow you slipped through, the betrayal that should have broken your spine, but you walked away breathing, the setup, oh, that beautiful, perfect setup, where every variable screamed, game over, and yet, here you are, still standing, still thinking, still untouched in ways that don't make logical sense. And you're calling that coincidence? That's adorable. You think chaos just misses people like you? You think destruction forgets its address? No, something intervened, not loudly, not dramatically, not with flashing lights and angel wings like the fairy tales promised you. No, this isn't that kind of story. This is quieter, colder, smarter, because what's protecting you doesn't need to be seen. That's the part that terrifies them. You ever notice how things just shift around you? Like reality hesitates for a split second before it touches you, like outcomes bend, just slightly, just enough. Yeah, you felt it. Don't lie. That wasn't your imagination. That was your backup. Hidden so deep, they don't even know where to aim. And here's the twist that'll make your stomach tighten. It was never about saving you because you're good. And it was never about punishing them because they're evil. That's a child's version of reality. You're not protected because you're a saint. You're protected because you're necessary. Let that sink in. Necessary things don't get removed. Necessary things get preserved. And preservation? Oh, it doesn't care about your comfort. It doesn't care about your tears, your loneliness, your nights staring at the ceiling, wondering why it all feels so heavy. Because the same thing shielding you is also forging you. That's the duality you've been too blind to see. You're not just being guarded, you're being shaped. Every pain you survived, calibration, every betrayal, alignment, every moment you thought you were abandoned, isolation, to sharpen something inside you they couldn't risk contaminating. You weren't left alone. You were separated because what's attached to you doesn't thrive in crowds. It doesn't operate in noise. It doesn't reveal itself in comfort. It waits, watches, calculates, and when something comes for you, something that should reach you, something that should end you, it moves, not loudly, not dramatically, just a slight shift, a missed call, a delayed step, a sudden instinct telling you don't go there, and you listened without knowing why. That wasn't you. That was it. And here's where it gets uncomfortable, because you want to believe it's something pure, something holy, something soft and glowing that wraps you in warmth. But what if I told you, the thing protecting you, it understands darkness better than your enemies ever could. It knows how they think. It predicts their moves. It speaks the same language they do, only faster, sharper, colder, because light alone doesn't win wars. It's the combination, the paradox, the saint with a psychopath's precision, the angel with a demon's patience, That's what's been walking with you. That's why you confuse people. That's why they can't read you. Because sometimes you're calm, controlled, almost untouchably peaceful. And other times, there's something in your eyes that makes them step back without knowing why. Yeah, they feel it. They don't see your backup, but they feel the pressure of it, and it terrifies them because every time they get close, something goes wrong. Every single time. Plans collapse, timing breaks, energy shifts, and they're left staring at you like, how are you still here? You think that question is curiosity? No, that's fear trying to sound intelligent, because deep down, they're starting to realize you're not operating alone. And here's the part you've been avoiding. If something has been protecting you this entire time, if something has been silently stepping in, redirecting outcomes, preserving your existence, then maybe you're not as ordinary as you've been pretending to be. Maybe the reason your life feels heavier, sharper, more intense is because you're not just living it. You're being positioned, and positioning requires pressure. It requires breaking pieces of you that would have made you weak later. It requires isolation so you don't attach yourself to things that would have slowed you down. It requires pain so deep, it rewires how you see the world. You call it suffering. But what if it was preparation? What if every moment you thought you were being punished was actually you being protected from becoming something smaller? Yeah, that hits different, doesn't it? Because now you have to face it. You were never abandoned. You were handled carefully, strategically, ruthlessly, when necessary. And the scariest part, it's still happening. Right now, as you're listening to this, as your mind starts connecting dots you've been avoiding, as that quiet realization creeps in, it's still there, watching, adjusting, ensuring, not that you're comfortable, but that you arrive, because whatever's attached to you doesn't care about your feelings. It cares about your outcome, and outcomes like yours, they don't happen by accident. So go ahead. Keep pretending you're alone if that helps you sleep. Keep telling yourself it's all coincidence, all luck, all random. But deep down, you know, you've felt it too many times to ignore. Something has been standing between you and things that should have destroyed you. Something they can't see, something they can't touch, something they definitely can't fight. And if they ever figure out what it is, it won't be you they're afraid of anymore. It'll be what's been walking with you this whole time. And the moment that realization fully lands, not just in your mind, but in your bones, everything changes. Because now you're not just surviving anymore. Now you're aware. And awareness, that's where the real shift begins. The dangerous kind. The kind they pray you never reach. Because before this, you moved like prey. Second-guessing, overthinking, explaining yourself, shrinking your instincts to fit into a world that was never designed for something like you. But now you start noticing patterns. The way certain people enter your life at very specific moments, then disappear right when they've served their purpose. The way disasters get this close and then just don't happen. The way your gut speaks, not like a suggestion, but like a command. And every time you ignore it, something feels off, wrong, misaligned. That's not anxiety, that's communication. You've been receiving signals this whole time. You just didn't trust yourself enough to listen, because they taught you not to. They trained you to doubt that voice, to call it paranoia, to label it overthinking, to silence it with logic, distractions, noise. Why? Because a person who listens to that voice becomes unpredictable. And unpredictable people, they're impossible to control. That's why your life feels like a contradiction. You can be calm and terrifying, kind and completely detached, loyal. But the second something feels off, you're gone without explanation. You don't even fully understand it yourself sometimes, do you? That switch, that instant shift where something inside you just goes, enough. And suddenly, you're not the same person anymore. That's not instability, that's precision. That's your backup, overriding hesitation. Because hesitation gets people like you killed. You aren't built to hesitate. You are built to sense, decide, move. And every painful experience you've had, every betrayal, every loss, every moment you thought you were breaking, that was the system, stripping hesitation out of you, rewiring you, making you faster, sharper, colder when necessary. You hate that part of yourself sometimes, don't you? That side that doesn't forgive easily. That side that can detach without warning. That side that watches everything, calculates, remembers. You call it darkness. But what if that darkness is the very thing that's kept you alive? What if your light isn't your kindness, but your awareness of both? Because here's the truth they'll never say out loud. Pure light gets manipulated. Pure darkness gets destroyed. But something that can switch, something that can be soft, then lethal, calm, then chaotic, present, then completely unreachable. That's not a person you can predict. That's a problem. And you've been a problem your entire life. That's why they tried to label you, put you in boxes, call you too much, too intense, too different. Because if they can define you, they can relax. But you were never meant to be understood. You were meant to be felt. Like pressure in a room no one can explain. Like silence that suddenly feels heavy. Like a presence that doesn't need to speak to be noticed. That's what's been growing inside you. And the more you become aware of it, the less you'll feel the need to explain yourself to anyone. Because explanation is for people seeking permission. You're starting to realize you never needed any. And that's where it gets dangerous. Because once you stop explaining, you start acting. Not recklessly, not emotionally, but decisively. You walk away faster. You trust slower. You observe longer. You speak less. But when you do, it lands heavier. And people will feel that shift. Oh, they will feel it. They won't know how to describe it. But something about you will start making them uncomfortable. Because you're no longer reacting to the world. You're reading it, anticipating it, moving before it moves on you. And that's when they start watching you differently. That's when curiosity turns into caution. Because now, it's not just about the fact that you've survived everything that should have ended you. It's about the fact that you're starting to understand why. And once you understand the why, you stop fearing the what if. Let that sink in. No more what if this goes wrong. No more what if they betray me. No more what if I lose everything. Because deep down, you've already seen what happens when things go wrong. And you survived it. Not by chance, not by luck, but because something stepped in. Again, and again, and again. So now fear doesn't hit the same. It tries, but it doesn't land. Because there's a part of you that just smirks at it and thinks, do your worst. That's the shift. That's the evolution. That's what pain was building toward. Not weakness, not trauma, authority, the kind that doesn't need validation, The kind that doesn't need approval. The kind that walks into uncertainty and doesn't flinch because it knows it's not walking in alone. And here's the final twist. The thing protecting you, it's not separate from you anymore. It never was. It just needed you to become aware enough, strong enough, broken enough to handle the truth without collapsing under it. You were waiting for something to show up and save you. But what's been guiding you this whole time? What's been intervening? What's been shifting outcomes? It wasn't above you. It wasn't behind you. It was being built within you, piece by piece, pain by pain, choice by choice, until one day you wouldn't need to be saved anymore, because you had become the thing that nothing could easily destroy. So now I'll ask you again, you still think you're alone? Or are you finally starting to realize you were never the one being hunted? You were the one being prepared. And preparation like that, it doesn't end the moment you realize. No, that's where it actually begins. Because awareness isn't a reward, it's a burden, a sharp one. The kind that slices through illusions you used to hide inside. The kind that makes normal conversations feel fake, predictable, hollow. You start hearing what people don't say. You start seeing intentions behind smiles. You start noticing patterns in behavior that others are too distracted or too afraid to acknowledge. And suddenly, the world you thought you understood starts looking like a stage play. Scripts, roles, reactions, recycled emotions. And you're no longer fully in it. You're watching it while still playing your part. That's the split. That's the duality they never prepared you for. Half of you still human, feeling, remembering what it was like to trust easily, to love without calculation. And the other half, cold, observing, calculating 10 steps ahead without even trying. You didn't choose that split. It was forced into you through every moment that required you to adapt or break. And you didn't break. That's the problem, because people who break stay simple. But people who adapt, they become layered. And layered minds, they don't fit into normal reality. That's why you feel disconnected sometimes. Not because you're lost, but because you've outgrown the version of reality that once made sense to you. And here's where it gets heavier. Because once you see through things, you can't unsee them. You can't go back to blind trust. You can't go back to surface level thinking. You can't go back to believing that what you see is all there is. No, now you see the tension in people's silence, the insecurity behind confidence, the hidden agendas wrapped in good intentions. And it exhausts you sometimes, doesn't it? That constant awareness, that feeling of always being on, always reading, always scanning, always knowing. You've probably wished, at least once, I wish I could just turn this off. But you can't, because that thing inside you, it doesn't switch off. It sharpens. That's what evolution feels like. Not comfort, not peace, intensity. But here's the paradox. The more intense you become internally, the calmer you appear externally. You don't react like you used to. You don't chase explanations. You don't argue to be understood, because you've realized something most people never will. Understanding isn't given, it's perceived. And most people, they don't have the perception required to understand you. So why waste energy trying? That's why you've become quieter, more selective, more distant. Not because you don't care, but because you've learned that not everything deserves your attention. And attention, that's your most dangerous weapon. Where you place it shapes outcomes. Where you remove it dissolves illusions. You've seen it happen. The moment you stop feeding something, it starts collapsing. People, situations, dynamics. They need your engagement more than you need their presence. And once you understand that, you become untouchable in a different way. Not physically, mentally, emotionally, energetically. You can stand in the middle of chaos and not absorb it. You can face manipulation and not react to it. You can feel tension and not be controlled by it. That's power, but it's not loud. It's silent. And silence, that's what scares people the most, because silence doesn't reveal intention. It hides it. And when they can't read your intention, they start projecting their own fears onto you. That person is dangerous. They're hiding something. I don't trust them. Good. They shouldn't, because what they're sensing isn't a threat. It's unpredictability, and unpredictability breaks systems. You don't follow expected patterns anymore. You don't react on cue. You don't play roles the way they expect. And that makes you unmanageable, uncontainable, uncomfortable to be around for people who rely on control. But here's the part you need to fully accept. With this awareness comes isolation, not the kind you felt before, not the painful, empty, why am I alone kind. No, this is different. This is chosen isolation, strategic, intentional, because now you understand something critical. Not everyone deserves access to you. Not everyone can handle your presence. Not everyone should be allowed close enough to influence your direction. That's not arrogance. That's precision. And the more you honor that, the clearer everything becomes. Your decisions get faster. Your instincts get louder. Your path gets sharper. Less clutter. Less noise. Less confusion. And in that clarity, you start to feel something unfamiliar. Control, not over the world, not over people, but over yourself, your reactions, your focus, your energy. And that's the one thing they can't take from you. Because control over self, that's the foundation of everything else. And here's where the final layer starts revealing itself. The thing that's been protecting you, guiding you, shaping you. It was never just keeping you alive. It was preparing you to operate, to move through this world differently, to see what others miss, to act where others hesitate, to detach where others get trapped. You're not here to play the same game. You're here to understand the game and move beyond it. And once you reach that point, fear changes form. It doesn't disappear. It evolves. You don't fear losing people anymore. You fear wasting time on the wrong ones. You don't fear failure. You fear stagnation. You don't fear being alone. You fear being surrounded by noise that dulls your clarity. That's the transformation. That's what all of this has been building toward. A version of you that doesn't just survive, doesn't just react, doesn't just endure, but chooses with precision, with awareness, with a quiet, unshakable understanding that no matter what happens next, you've already walked through worse. And something, whether you call it instinct, evolution, design, or something far more unsettling, will still be there, adjusting, watching, ensuring. So the next time that thought creeps in, that old familiar whisper, what if I'm alone? I want you to pause, not emotionally, not fearfully, but with that calm, calculated awareness you've been building, and ask yourself, if you were truly alone, if there was nothing watching, nothing guiding, nothing intervening, then how are you still here, after everything that was designed to erase you? Because that's the question that shatters the illusion completely. Not loudly, Not dramatically, just quietly, like a blade sliding into truth. How are you still here? Not breathing? Anyone can breathe, not existing. Existence is cheap. No. How are you still intact? After the pressure, after the setups, after the moments that should have fractured your mind into pieces that never fit back together. And yet, you didn't just survive. You adapted, cleaner, sharper, harder to reach. That wasn't random, that was design. So stop calling yourself lucky. Stop calling it coincidence. Stop shrinking what you've walked through just to make other people comfortable. You weren't spared. You were selected. And selection doesn't come with comfort. It comes with responsibility. To see clearer, to move smarter, to trust that voice. Even when it isolates you, even when it makes you walk away from things others would cling to, because now you know, you're not moving blindly anymore. You're moving with something most people will never understand, never see, never even believe exists. And that's exactly why it works. So no, you're not alone. You've just been walking with something they don't have the eyes to see. And now, you finally have the awareness to become it.
Thank you for watching, family. We do hope this message was helpful and life-changing. Don't forget to join the Alchemic Joker community where we transform pain into power. Stick around for more powerful messages. We love you.